they take it to the quote next higher circle. But we don't have to think about that because that's businesses. I just stick it on here for when I have a business person in the room in the workshop.
And 9 take that at another meeting. They take it to the whole circle to consent to the plan. Number 9. Oh, the first 9. The first 9 above that one.
There's 2 9s for God's sakes. Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot that. Their own circle, the one they're in.
Not the
Yeah.
They might be in a functional circle. They might have had only a few people from that circle in their feedback team. Well, their feedback team knows all this, but the other people in the circle don't. So they go to the circle and they say, hey, everybody, I know that the 3 of you were in my feedback team, but the rest of you weren't, so I just want you to know, here's my plan for improvement, la, 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 la. That's it. So short. So, in selecting people for roles, the folks selected Frodo. Boromir wanted to join the team in consenting to circle members, but they said no, he's too ambitious. Or that he needs more training in humility. I can't remember what it says, but you've got it. Role improvement feedback, they gave Frodo, and you're going to get the skip, gave Frodo the request that he keep doing all the good things he's been doing, including being congenial and being unambitious and humble. And he continued to wear the ring, but he never put it on his finger so that the ring wraiths can see him and stab him, like what happened at Weathertop. In case you read the books, you would know all this. In case you didn't, it doesn't matter. So he doesn't put the ring on. He's supposed to, please, Frodo, don't put that ring on again. Remember, we almost all got killed when you did that. Okay, I won't do it again. See, I just had to pick something out of the Hobbits, right, to use. But he was enjoined to please keep making desserts. It was the Hobbits who
making
desserts. Yeah, Hobbits have 5 desserts after every meal. Did you know that? I made that up. But the point is,
They do eat a lot.
they eat a lot because they're not about ambition or power. They're about food and
Comfort.
comfort and parties. Yeah.
Honeymead.
So on honeymead. So the point is, you will in a nanosecond get that skit. We spent more time on implementation in this group than I usually do in workshops, so we didn't do these skits, but you're going to have them to read and you'll get a sense of it.
And we can use it.
You totally can use them.
So what strikes me, and I'm sure you've been told this before, but this very accurately kind of mirrors the sort of the best practice for performance review in organisations, and what I've been taught about performance review when it's done really well is pretty much this process without it doesn't necessarily have circles and things like that, but this is really what happens. I talk about what I've done well, and then my supervisor does, and then I talk about what needs to be improved, and my supervisor does, and it's just done in a sociocracy style.
Well, it's very interesting that you should say that, because guess what this is called in sociocracy literature, and guess what Karen Innenberg called it in Dutch? Performance review.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I, as a person who teaches communities and who speak to people who've ever worked in a company, a nonprofit, or a corporation, never use that term. I changed it to role improvement
I love
feedback.
role improvement feedback. It's so much.
And I think a key aspect of it is the person chooses.
Yeah.
Why is that a good idea?
Don't just go to your supervisor.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have a sense of control, and you also those might be the people that you will give you feedback that will be helpful. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily the people who are going to say you're doing a great job. I don't care what you do, you're great. It might be somebody like Clara who could say, this is going really well, and I actually see a problem that I'd like you to pay attention to, and I would trust Clara to tell me that kindly and honestly.
How would each of you feel if somebody gave you courteously worded suggestions for improvement in your role?
Great. Love it.
I would love it.
Be grateful.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's such it's a huge
So I have another question.
Certainly.
Because this is dear to my heart and my work. So, do you have, so is this sort of mandatory?
Is which thing mandatory?
The getting role improvement feedback. Is it sort of expected, or is it something that you choose to do?
Oh, it's built into the system.
It is built into the system.
Of circles. However, the reason that Linda is, I think, secretly grinning and twinkling in her eyes is because we know communities, and you do too.
Yeah.
And some people may probably rather die, have a root canal, and be run over by a long, heavy train.
And poke pins in their eyes.
And put pins in their eyes.
my
See,
God.
you're so
Oh my
funny.
God, that's
Yeah,
a
then do
horrible
this.
image.
And so at what's the name of it? Habitat Quebec, which is a co-housing community that started off in its early days in the forming phases using consensus, and then switched to sociocracy because the Burning Soul was a trainer in it, Michel de Gagné, who is no longer with us alive, unfortunately, but he taught them all sociocracy, and then they used it. And when I met them, I said, well, I'd like to find out if you use, I do this with every group I meet, that's using, I ask them, do you do this, and do you do these steps, and then, and Michel, who was the operations leader of their general circle, because he was the Burning Soul, and they had to get the thing going, and he did, and they did. Now they've been living there multiple years, but he always did role improvement feedback in order to demonstrate it to people and how easy it was and how simple. None of them ever did it. And I asked them, oh, why not? And they said, well, I wouldn't do that. They weren't used to community. They were used to corporations. They called it performance review in French. Revue de performance or something like that. I don't know, I'm just making that up. And they said to me when I asked them, and I love folks in Quebec and I love how they speak, and I said, well, do you do that? And they said, oh, no, we would never do that, And I said, well, why not? Well, they didn't want to have hurt feelings or bad will, and they would explain to me that this is a community. Like, I didn't know that. This is co-housing, which in French is called cohabitat. This is cohabitat. We would never do that.
And so does the material that you provide some tips on receiving feedback? Because I think that would be a really, wonderful thing. Because I work with some people who are just, so hypersensitive that any feedback, like of anything that is might be improved, just feels like
they're dying.
Just like you've just run them over.
I know, because I used to be that person.
Yeah.
Not now, but I was before the 102 years of therapy. I was exactly like that.
Right. And so it's just painful to just sort of even suggest anything that might need improvement, because it's it's very wounding. It's almost like there's this raw wound.
It is, and it is. One could say highly sensitive. One could say touchy and reactive. So
Highly sensitive.